So let's start on the IRAS direct submission training through Apex. So welcome everyone. So some house rules before we start. All attendees will be muted to reduce background noise. You may turn off your webcams. This will not be required. So towards the end, there'll be a short Q&A session where you can ask your questions and unmute yourself then, or you can just send in your questions over the chat. My colleagues will be assisting to help answer your questions. So first thing is, what is IRAS direct submission? Employers, you can submit the employment income information of employees electronically to IRAS without leaving JustLogin system. So the employment income information will be based on the monthly pay runs that you're doing or the opening balance. The income information will be included in the employee's tax returns for verification and tax filing purposes. So there will not be any need to print out the physical IR8A form because your employees will be able to access on their own from their accounts. So who can access or do the direct submission through JustLogin? You will have to be registered through AIS, the Auto Inclusion Scheme, in order for you to use the direct submission. So this is compulsory for organizations with at least 5 employees. But regardless of the number, employers are encouraged to join AIS. So this particular training is especially for those going through Apex. So what is it? So the Government Technology Agency recently launched a project in collaboration with IRAS to provide more convenient and safer way for employers to submit the employment income records. So this is actually through Apex, which is a centralized data sharing platform within the government. So more government agencies like CPF Board and MOM will soon be coming on board on Apex as well. So we are looking at adding more direct submission options to these channels in future. So what IRAS forms can we download and submit from JustLogin? You will be able to download 4 forms. There will be the IR8A form, which is your return of employees remuneration, the Appendix 8A and 8B. 8A is for non-monetary benefits in kind, and 8B is for your stock options, if you provide it for your employees. And then there's the last one, which is your Form IR21, which is a notification by employer of any employee's cessation of employment or departure from Singapore. So if you notice, we actually have a brand new interface this year, which looks slightly different from last year. We will be going through this during the demo later on. But what are the benefits of the new interface? So it is better and easier to access the IRAS related features, which we have a new aggregated menu, and its intuitive grouping and access of IRAS opening balance, IRAS amendment, the Appendix 8A and 8B. So we've simplified it in 3 submission step process. Its enhanced filtering and selection criteria allows you to generate for active and inactive staff easily. And we have a powerful bulk download capabilities. So this allows you to download all generated forms in one zip file in one click. So the direct submission process, now in 3 steps. First step is to consolidate salary information. Second one is to generate the IRAS files. And third will be to review and submit. So the very first step is to consolidate your salary information. So you just need to make sure that JustLogin system has all the salary related information for the financial year. For existing customers, if the pay runs for the entire financial year has been done using JustLogin, then that should take care of the step. For new customers, IRAS opening balance can be used to feed the data. Also part of consolidating salary information, we have 2 reports that you can use for this, for the purpose of checking. So the first one is report number 14. This is a payroll yearly report by employee, which is a good way to cross-check your salary information. The second report is report number 18 for employee pay run tax details reports, which is also another good way of checking your salary information. Part 2 or step 2 will be to generate your IRAS files. So this, you can proceed to the IRAS menu and generate the required IRAS files. There are two types of files that you'll notice. One is the original and another is the amendment. Original will be for new submissions for the financial year, whereas amendment option will be when you're doing submissions that you have already made to IRAS, but you're just doing a correction this time. So this step is purely a preparational step for review and it isn't submitted to IRAS yet. Okay, the very last step will be to review and submit it. So this is the final step where the generated file is actually sent to IRAS directly via the backend integration. So there are two formats that you can generate. You'll see that there's an XML format and there's a PDF format. The XML format is what is submitted to IRAS portal, whereas the PDF format is a printable format plainly for your own manual use. Okay, now let's go on to the demo. Okay, so this is my dummy account. When you are logged in into your account, the very first thing you need to do is go to your payroll module, okay, and then go to IRAS tab. So under IRAS, you'll be able to generate all the information that you need. Repeat that. The very first thing you need to do is to go into the system, go to your payroll module, and under IRAS, you'll be able to generate the files. But before doing this, you may go to your payroll module under configuration. Just do a quick check under company information if all the information here has been filled up. Reason for this is because all the information here will be used when you're generating your IRAS form. Here. So you'll notice under authorized person details, the information here is pulled up from your configuration information. Okay, so let's start on the form itself. Very first thing is the IRAS submission details. Tax year by default will always be the year that you're doing the submission for. So you can see in this case, this is for 2022. But of course, you will be able to change this. Okay. Payment type, this is just by default salary data for IR8A. This will not need to be changed. Form export type, if you select this drop-down option, you'll notice that there are a few options that you can generate the files for. Okay, IR8A form, this is the PDF version. IRAS export XML, this is what will be needed to be submitted to IRAS portal. IRAS export XML and IR8A form will be a generation of both the PDF and XML format. So you can use either the XML or if you want to generate both at the same time, you can do that. And then the rest of the forms, you will notice that there's the Appendix 8A in PDF format, XML format. Same thing for 8B in PDF and XML format. Just choose which formats you would like to generate for. In this example, let's go ahead do for both. The export for XML and PDF format. Okay. Organization ID type. Again, there are a few options here. Just select which one is relevant to your company. I'll be using the second option here, local company registration number issued by ACRA. Source type, this is just by default, private sector. Organization ID, this is again pulled up from your configuration. So just do a quick check if it's correct. If it's not, you can update it under configuration. Okay, under the next section, on other details, the first one will be the batch indicator. So this is what we earlier explained. You'll notice that there is original and there is amendment. So for the very first submission that you're doing to IRAS, always select original. After you have submitted to IRAS, if you notice that there are corrections that are needed to be made, then you can always generate the file again, but for the second time onwards, you can use amendment. Okay, so since this is the very first time I'll be doing it, I'll go ahead and select original. Okay. Batch date by default will be today's date here. But of course, you will be able to select any other dates as well. I'm just going to leave it as today's date. Division, branch name, if you have any, you can input here. And then for Appendix 8A, 8B options, If you do provide any stocks or benefits in kind for your employees, you can select this option. If you don't, just leave it unticked. Okay. Then the last section here will be the authorized person details. So you'll notice by default, you already have values added in. This is pulled up from your configuration page. Okay. You will be able to update it. So if it's a different person, you can just update it. Same thing for email. You can use whatever was set in configuration, or you can update it. Designation as well. Company name by default will follow the company name that you are using. And then phone number again pulls up from your configuration page. Okay. Once this has been updated, then you can go ahead, click on generate, right? But before this, you'll have to select your employees that you would like to generate for. But then you'll notice that there are other forms as well. So if you do need to update other forms, then you can go ahead, update the information here before generating the forms. Okay, so let's go ahead into the other forms itself. So if I click on other forms option, the very first one will be IRAS opening balance. So if you do need to update any opening balances, right? If you have any pay that was not processed in JustLogin system, this is where you can come in to update the balances. You can choose to import the opening balance to update it in an Excel format and then import back into the system. Save it, and then you should be able to go back and generate your IRAS forms. Okay, the second option will be IRAS employee details. If you need to update your employee information, this is where you can update it. Again, there will be an Excel format that you can download, update it offline, and then import it back into the system. So for those of you who have any director fees involved, you can always input the director fees approval date here. Okay, going back, the third form, which is your Appendix 8A and 8B. So here's where you can update it for your individual employees. Just need to select the employee name. I'm going to go ahead, click on Henry Doe. And then for Henry Doe, you'll be able to see all the different forms available. Then you can just update the information here. So just need to update the values, the dates. And once you have input the amount, scroll down and click on calculate so that the system will be able to calculate the total benefits in kind. Click on update. Same thing for stock options. Okay, so just go ahead, update it. If you have any stocks that you provide, and then scroll down, click on update. Okay, you'll notice that there's additional forms as well. So if you do provide any other residences, more than one place, this is where you can update the second place. For stocks as well, if there's any other additional ones provided to your employees, this is where you can update it. Scroll down, calculate, and submit. Okay. And then right at the top, you'll see a select employee option. So if you need to toggle between the different employees, you can always switch. So once you update for the employee, just update it. Go ahead, click on the other employees that you need to update for, save it, and then you can go back to your IRAS form generation to proceed generating the IRAS forms. Okay. IRAS amendment, if you have any amendments after the initial or original form has been submitted, this is where you can do it. So IRAS amendment, only after your original one has been sent. If you have any corrections to be done, come here and update it for the employees. So let's go ahead and do an example. For Henry Doe again, if I do need to make any corrections, I just need to update the updated information. So just the balances, or rather the difference amount. So let's say if I forgot to process a bonus of maybe an additional $1,000, you just need to input the difference of $1,000. Okay, not the full amount, just the difference. And then scroll down, update. And then you can go ahead and generate amendment file. Okay, and if you do need to process any IR21, we have this form as well that you can update. Okay, so those are all the forms that you can update. Now let's go back to generating the IRAS forms. So here, let me just quickly update it again for XML and IRAA form. Batch indicator, I'll just select original. Okay. Next part, before I generate, I just need to select which employees I am submitting for. If I would like to select everyone, just click on the very first box, which will select for everyone. If it's just for 1 or 2 employees, you just need to click on the names that you are processing for. So in this case, I will process for 2 people, Henry Doe and Jack Ma. Okay, then just click on the generate button at the bottom of the page. And then you'll come to the second part here, which is to review and submit the forms. Here, you can see that it's currently processing under status. Once it's been processed, you'll notice that it's now changed to complete for a total of 2 users. Okay. It has been successfully processed, 2 files in the XML format and 2 files in the PDF format. You can choose to send it to your employees. Okay, so you can choose to release the PDF version to your employees. Or if you have processed this wrongly, you can delete it under the Actions button as well. Okay, the next thing will be, you'll notice that some of it actually has a tick box next to it. Whereas for some, it doesn't have the tick box, the option. Reason for that is, for any formats with the XML format, you will be able to tick it because that is what you'll be sending to the IRAS portal. Whereas for PDF formats, you won't need to send it to IRAS, so there will not be any option to tick this. Okay, so if you do tick it and if you do submit to IRAS, then it will only be the XML format that is being sent over. Okay, you can click on the name itself, which will bring you to the bottom of the page where you can download the files. Under text file download, you can see that I have currently clicked on this for the 2 employees. So here you'll be able to view the forms as well. Okay, let's try coming back to this later. Okay, you'll notice that next to this, there was an error message here. So not to worry, you can just hover over this to check what the error message is before you proceed. Okay, so you can see that my IRAS file contains a benefit in kind value. So it's asking me to generate the Appendix 8A file accordingly. Okay, so if everything is correct, once you have checked, then you can go ahead and click on Company IRAS Submission. Okay, I'm going to click on Company Submission. Then you'll see this pop-up message that says, are you sure you want to do a direct submission of this file to IRAS for your own business tax matters? I'll just go ahead and click on Confirm. Once you confirm, you'll see a pop-up here that will ask you to log in into your SingPass account. So I will go ahead and log in into my SingPass account. And log in. Okay, so once you've logged in, just select which company you are doing the submission for. So I'll go ahead, select the very first one. And this is the page that is slightly different for those submitting through Apex. So you'll notice that you are currently requested for permission, right? This is like a handshake between Apex and JustLogin system. So you just need to click on IRAS. I mean, yes, that you are allowing this. So the very last step will be the third part here, submission status. So once you have consented, you will come to this page submission status, and then you'll be able to see the status of your submission. So right now you can see the two, or rather the one that I have just generated for has failed. But not to worry, you can just hover over this or click on it to view what went wrong with the submission. So here you can see that there are records that I submitted without the Appendix 8A. So you can choose to ignore this warning and proceed to submit it anyway, or you can always choose to resubmit after you have corrected the information that you need to correct. Okay, so if I choose to ignore the warnings, I can just go ahead, click this, ignore warnings, and proceed. Okay. Then now you'll notice the very first record here that the file has been submitted. So to know that your file has been submitted successfully, you can see the file status here, success. Also, there will be a submission reference number here. So this is how you know that it has been successfully submitted. So this is the reference number you can always check across on IRAS portal. Okay, so you can always click here to log in into your IRAS portal as well to check the information directly on IRAS. Okay, so that will be the entire submission process. One last thing is to access the reports in the system itself. You can always go to payroll, reports. Okay. And under payroll reports, if you would like to check the information before generating your IRAS forms, this is where you can do it. So reports, payroll reports, I can go to report number 14, payroll yearly report by employee to generate this information. Okay. Same thing, you can check through with report number 18, employee pay run tax details reports. Okay, so that will be the entire process. Okay, so some common questions that we receive. So some of you might ask, why are you not seeing your resigned staff? So if you are not seeing them, then just make sure to reactivate the staff, make sure that payroll option has been ticked. Okay, and then you should be able to process for your resigned staff. So during deactivation, just keep the modules active, so don't need to untick it when you are deactivating employees. And then you might be wondering what organization ID type is and which one to use. Okay, so there are three options here. So you can check the UAN local code is for local companies. UAN business is for local businesses or partnerships. UAN others is for foreign companies, LLPs, or clubs, associations, societies, government agencies, and others. So we have linked the sites that you can check on in the slide itself, which we will be sharing after the training session. Okay, so how do you know if your submission was successful? So on the submission status page, there will be a submission reference number. So you would know if that's a reference number that it was successful. You will also receive an acknowledgement email from IRAS. So it will be received by the authorized person email address. Okay. What is batch indicator? So there will be two, original and amendment. So original is for first time submissions. Amendments is only when income details have been submitted to IRAS, but it would need some corrections. Okay. So if you have any questions when you are processing or generating your IRAS forms, you can always contact our support team via email support@justlogin.com or through the support line WhatsApp number or using our in-app chat.